Draconian Inheritance by Ruth Berman. This story only ever appeared in the September 1976 issue of Galileo magazine. Read by Darrell T. Smith II for my channel Quasar Spectra. Draconian Inheritance. Aster woke, which surprised her. Unless she was in hell or some such variety of unpleasant beyond, but she didn't believe in it. Besides, although she was in pain, it wasn't quite racking enough. It fogged her thoughts and held her motionless for fear of increasing it, but she did not actually feel any need to scream. Perhaps she was alive after all, unlikely as it seemed. She opened her eyes. Nothing. Blackness, marked only by the aurora of colors her eyes put there in protest. If she was still wearing her oxygen mask, she could not feel it. Well, perhaps she wasn't alive then, but she was lying on something soft, with odd lumps in it, poking her at odd angles. Aster tried to reach out her hand to explore it, although she was not sure just where her hand was in that darkness. Her hand moved, and she felt pain explode inside her. She did scream then, but she knew she was alive. The pain was not universal, but had a location, upper right arm and shoulder. Besides, she could feel that she was wearing clothes and her oxygen mask as they pressed at her in different points in response to her motion. The laser shot must have just barely touched her. But Lynn had shot a Draco from halfway across the spaceport. It seemed odd that she would miss Aster from a couple meters' distance. Nevertheless, it seemed that she had done so. Where the hell was Lynn, anyhow? Aster tried moving a hand again, the left this time, and found herself touching smooth cloth, something as high-grade as Draco silk or the like. She moved her hand up along the cloth and encountered the soft bulge of a breast, and above it the hard one of a tube to feed an oxygen mask. That, presumably, was Lynn. Aster was lying on top of the woman she had hunted. They were buried together like lovers. Aster felt a sudden resentment of the forced intimacy and an irrational guilt at using a person for a pillow, however unintentionally. Slowly, easing her legs carefully off the body, she managed to raise herself into a kneeling position with her legs on the ground beside Lynn. The ground felt odd, gritty and rocky beneath the grit. She tried to figure out what had happened. The Draco guards, in their methodical way, had set out to close the port exits and search all the establishments in the city able to supply oxygen. But Aster had had a hunch that a human gambler would have hedged bets for getting off a world with an unbreathable, to humans, atmosphere. She headed for the maze of luggage racks, hoping to find luggage that was not simply what it should be, and Lynn with it. She'd found the suspicious luggage, a suitcase quietly assembling itself into a private porter, but the ragged heaps of baggage betrayed her. Before she could either safely retreat or figure out which pyramid Lynn had slipped behind, the gambler leaned out from a free-form mudlet version of a trunk and slapped the laser out of Aster's hand, then ordered her to turn around and lean against the most stable-looking of the heaps. At that point, Aster's memory quit on her, and she could not get it to move. It balked. She could almost feel cogs in her head refusing to shift. Finally, one of them did shift into headache gear. She abandoned the effort, closed her eyes, and set herself to holding still while her head calmed down. What had happened was clear enough anyway. She supposed she had tried to jump Lynn, instead of submitting quietly to what she expected would be a shot in the back, which did not explain why all the luggage area lights were out, nor how a polished stone floor became uneven and dusty. "Hello!" she shouted. Her voice was distorted, coming through the mask. There was no answer, not even an echo. She shouted again, but the only response she got was a moan from Lynn. She opened her eyes to look at her again and was relieved, and then startled to find that she could see her, faintly. There was a dim, gray light off to one side of the floor. The horizon. They must have gone through the damn porter in struggling. A bright, full moon, or a pale sun, started to rise. It shone white through a clear sky which was green at the horizon and shaded into purple overhead. The colors grew in intensity as she watched. Aster thought the planet was actually turning faster than, say, Earth did, but she did not quite trust her senses with the pain fog between them and her. She tried to bend her head to look at her shoulder, but it hurt too much. Probably cooked, she thought, and the idea made her hungry, and then sick at the cannibalistic implications of the notion. She swallowed against the nausea, struggling for control. Then Lynn groaned. Her eyes opened, showing green instead of gray because of the sky reflected in them. She shut her eyes again under the pressure of the light, then opened them a crack. "That you, pig?" Aster was too tired to contest the manner of address. "Afraid so. What happened?" Lynn opened her eyes wide for a moment and shut them only halfway. "Funny. I was going to ask you that. You got the drop on me, and after that I can't remember. I think I tried to jump you, but you must have," Lynn agreed. "And my bootleg porter had just about finished setting up when you came along in the first place. Did we make it to Plum Wing?" "I doubt it. I've never been there, but I've seen travel brochures. Most of it is inhabited, isn't it? And the sky's the wrong color." "Mm-hmm," said Aster. "But sunrise is a bad time to try to judge that." She looked doubtfully at the pale sky. "Or moonrise either, I guess." She edged her mask away from her nose and mouth and took a hesitant breath. She caught a whiff of human sweat and took a deeper breath in the relief of not smelling her burned shoulder. It would probably be all right, assuming she got proper treatment. The air was flat, without any odor she could detect. It did not seem to be poisonous, but after a few moments she could feel herself getting dizzy and sleepy. She pushed the mask back into place. "No oxygen. Not Plum Wing. Damn it. For a gambler, you're not very dexterous." "Well, I'm only an average to good player." "Obviously, or you wouldn't have been caught cheating." The mask hid her mouth, but a smile showed suddenly in Lynn's eyes and along the cheeks. "Yes, well, it's wrong and probably sinful, but not greatly so by my reckoning, or even yours, pig, I should think. I don't know anyone but Dracos who make cheating at games a hanging offense." "Strangling," said Aster. "Correction noted. Damn all these local legal codes anyhow. So you're a good, efficient guard who goes after any off-planet felon, even another human?" "Especially humans. That's why they hired me. It's a job." Her arm hurt. "And you did kill a Draco." "Self-defense." Lynn cautiously rolled over and sat up, then quietly looked around, rubbing one hand against her forehead. "I wonder where the hell we are. I suppose we're lucky the porter intercepted a planet at all." "Dunno." Aster reached down, found her radio still on her belt, and switched it to an automatic distress call. It was hard to set it left-handed. "You think that walkie-talkie's going to do anything?" Aster stopped herself from shrugging just in time. "Might. If there's anyone around inside a couple light years. It'd take them a while to get a fix on us, but you can put me under and we'll trance to save oxygen." "I can... well, yes, I can. What kind of a dossier have I piled up anyway? I'm not illegal on that many planets." No, but you were arrested once on the Matter colony for breaking the local anti-yoga laws. Right. You know, I don't see how out-of-culture pigs like you can do it. You don't believe in that nonsense. No, but most laws aren't that silly, and pigs don't get the option of deciding which sections they'll enforce. Besides, what can anyone do about it? Join the League to promote an interbeing code of justice? Nice set of ideals, but it's been going no place for how many standard years? Lynn looked at her consideringly. You can't trance yourself, I take it. No, it comes hard for me. I've noticed that about pigs. What is it? No imagination, or the occupation kills it? Aster forgot not to shrug and caught her breath with a gasp. Sorry. All right, I can put you under, I suppose. But somewhere along the way I've hit my head on this petrified bedspread we're on, I think, unless it was going through the porter, and I won't be able to get myself under. Concussion, my dear pig, is not good for the meditative faculties. Make a note. Oh, well, you'd better take most of my oxygen. Right, I will. Now, look in my eyes. Aster hesitated. It would be easy for Lynn to take all the oxygen, not so easy to avoid a murder rap if she did, but she was already under sentence of death on Draco anyway. Still, she'd managed to miss killing with a shot from 2 meters away, and anyhow, under the circumstances, Aster couldn't see any way out of trusting her. Lynn's eyes were green after all, but only in a central wheel of the iris. The ring nearest the iris was brown, and the outermost ring was a narrow band of gray-blue. The whole iris was flecked with minuscule gold wedges, but all the colors were fading as the increasing brightness turned the green sky gray and grayed the colors of Lynn's eyes. It was probably a sun rising, after all, not a moon, but she could not look away to see it. Lynn's eyes became 2 seas, then 1, and Aster felt herself drowning. So, she was not at first surprised to find herself underwater when she woke. She was huddled inside a sort of diving bell, and outside it a large blue jellyfish speckled with silver hung in the water, looking in at her. Beyond it, a wall surfaced with multi-hued porcelain shimmered through the drifting currents. The creature blurbled something, sounding like a brook over stones. A translator repeated, "How do you feel?" "Not too bad, I guess. My shoulder hurts." But it hurt much less than before. Her neck felt too stiff for her to try to see how it looked, but a tightness and a numbness around the ache suggested, respectively, bandages and an anesthetic. Aster thought of asking where they were, but it didn't really matter who had picked up the distress signal. Instead, she asked, "How much would it cost for us to port to Draco from here?" "Irrelevant, I regret. You have messages." The water being reached out to touch a porcelain lever. She heard the voice of the head guard at the Draco spaceport calmly informing her that, as they were informed that she was damaged extensively enough to need regeneration, they were terminating her employment with them and would be happy to recommend her to any future prospective employer when she regained her health. Her contract, of course, included insurance, and the spaceport would pay her medical costs. Such a particularly calm tone of voice indicated the Draco's sorrow at losing her, but Aster could not help saying, "Those bastards!" The translator obligingly repeated this remark to the water being. It shivered, in what she hoped was amusement, but feared was shock. Besides, obscenity was illegal on some planets. She added hastily, mimicking its phrasing on the assumption that it had treated her with courtesy, "I regret." She was surprised, however, to realize that she did not feel regretful at all over losing her job. The insurance would take care of her for a while, and after that she had enough saved to live on for a few years. In the meantime, she could be on the lookout for another job. It was annoying that the Draco seaport authorities were not willing to hold her job open for her, but she could use a vacation. All she would have to do would be to see to it that Lynn was brought in, which would be a pity. Perhaps, she thought maliciously, she could interpret her job's end to include doing nothing about Lynn, or had the Dracos already paid to have her ported back to them for trial? But surely they would have had the courtesy to have had Aster sent along at the same time, so that she could collect her few belongings. "Where is the human who was with me?" she demanded, then added, "Please." "Irrelevant, I regret," the water being repeated, and started another message. This one was from Lynn. "I've just about used up all the oxygen, and so far there's no sign we're going to be found. I bequeath my bank account, such as it is, to my brother Roland." She reeled off his identification number with a gambler's glib memory for figures. "If he can find anything else I own, he's welcome to do what he likes with it, except that if the pig who's with me happens to be alive when you find this, if anyone finds it, I want her to be given the rest of my 10 standard year membership in the Interbeing Justice League. I don't know her name, but as we're the only beings on this rock, it shouldn't be hard to pick her out. The League has been a useless sort of organization, I grant you, but she seems to be an efficient sort. Maybe she'll change it a bit. She won't want to, but she owes me." She gave her name and identification number, and the tape ended. Aster gaped. The motion hurt, and she brought her jaw up carefully. "Lynn is dead?" "Lynn is dead," the water bug agreed. "I regret." "Will you stop Aster cut the sentence short. "Thank you," she said after a moment. "Can you tell me how much it would cost to port to Earth, or any planet with a hospital specializing in humans?" "I will discover and inform." The water being rippled away, glinting silver as it went. Aster tried to relax inside the cramped quarters of her little bell. Her first objective, clearly, was to get her health back, and after that it certainly might be amusing to spend some time working for the League, even if it was impractical. She could work for it full-time as a volunteer while her savings held out, and possibly it could manage to find her a paying job later. Lynn was wrong. It was work she probably would want to do. Aster wondered if she would have been able to find a way of getting out of the charges laid against her on Draco. It hurt not to know. Or, no, she decided, it hurt not to be able to try. She wanted to set aside this useless line of thought, but she did not have the command of mind to do so. Instead, she wept for a long time, softly, so as not to hurt her shoulder. The tears felt good. You've been listening to pre-1990s speculative fiction readings with a highlight on science fiction by Darrell T. Smith II. Please consider clicking the donation link in the description box. Thank you so much for your time and your imagination.